What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol RIVN for Rivian Automotive. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, this will, of course, be an update, but most importantly, I need to let you know they gave us an earnings announcement after the bell today. So let's flip on the extended hours session here and see what's going on with the number. And quite certainly, or at least very likely, that we will open on a gap down for tomorrow's session. You can see all these red candles, taking us well outside of today's range. So with that being said, let's say that the forecasted opening print will be here around 98.85, give or take, and the overnight low is very close to the all-time low, actually, at around 95.75. Let's turn that back off and focus over on the daily time frame chart. What I would also point out is the importance of the low of today's session and also where the gap will technically fill to at 106.84. Why is that such an important area? Well, not only was it the sort of lows of this range in here, but it was also the opening print of the IPO. So again, if you're above the opening print, generally speaking, a lot of investors are feeling like this. If you're below, it's the exact opposite. You get more people who are disappointed in their initial investment if they bought directly on the listing opening. So just keep that in mind. Now let's talk about scenarios, because of course we do have scenarios in play whenever we are dealing with a gap open. So we know that regardless of the direction of the gap, scenario number one is always the gap and trap. And what that looks like is opening here, failing to find sellers, or basically people who want to get involved short here at the all-time low, essentially, trading long back through the open to fill the gap up towards, again, today's low of day, coincidentally, the IPO opening print at 106.84. That's how you get involved here to the long side inside of Rivian. And I would also just mention here that the options chain is fantastic in terms of volume. If we come on over to the trade tab, what you'll notice is that actually on the put side, so this really goes for the next scenario here, is that puts are very, very liquid in this name, and the spread really isn't that bad on your at the money or near the money strikes here. So that being said, let's talk about that downside case now, which of course is the gap and go. So what that looks like, scenario number two here, would be opening here, putting in a bearish consolidation pattern, so lower highs, flat lows, basically anything that sets up a breakdown of the all-time low inside of Rivian should take us significantly lower. Now, we don't have any targets to be watching for underneath, so I would just monitor for whole and half dollars intraday levels that do form. I would imagine that 90 starts to act as a magnet, 85, 80 after that, the big round easy numbers where it's easy for participants to get involved in on either the long or short side. And do remember, once again, from the options contracts here, we do have these very liquid options as puts, and we also have an easy to borrow stock to the short side. So even if you wanted to short the shares, it would be very doable here inside of Rivian. So that's really going to wrap up the video. Do remember that the 106.84 is a very important price level because of the IPO open. So if it does move higher, do keep a very close eye on whether or not we move above that pivot or stay below that number right there. It could mean some subsequent selling in the future if we can fail, or if we do fail to get back above it. And again, a lot of investors start feeling like this into the holidays here. So that's going to wrap up the analysis. All comes down to the gap and trap or the gap and go for tomorrow's bell. You have the framework, you have the levels to be watching for. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything new today, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.